Greetings, I'm Chris, and welcome back to my In Skyrim series where we play as a World of Warcraft style warlock within the universe of Skyrim, adhering to the class fantasy of the fire-wielding spellcaster, using dark magics to summon demons and fear our enemies. We've been sidetracked by some amazing dungeons and lore lately, but today, I am sure, is the day we visit the Greybeards. I'd like to thank you for joining me on this adventure and enjoying this playthrough. We are pretty much done here. We've rested, we've got our strength back, we've quested, so now we can head straight on out to the Greybeards quest. We have got quite a nice few bits of adventuring in our quest log so far, so we can start working through that at some point. We have key things to do, like the College of Winterhold, Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood. I just want to make absolutely sure there's nothing else around here. There isn't really, so we can move on. There's a few interesting bits along the way, but we'll carry on with the way of the voice now. And it is just up here. In terms of getting there, I think potentially we go this way. Let's see.
Staying safe, I hope?
Always.
On your way up the 7,000 steps again, Clivic?
Not today. I'm just not ready to make the climb to High Hrothgar.
I can do it, Klemek.
Say, passing through on your way to High Hrothgar? About to make a delivery up there myself.
What types of deliveries do you make to High Hrothgar?
Mostly food supplies like dried fish and salted meats. You know, things that keep fresh for a long time. The Greybeards tend not to get out much, if you catch my meaning.
And in return?
Well, it's kind of an understanding between us. I mean, it just wouldn't feel right to charge them for a bit of preserved food. Trouble is, my legs aren't what they used to be, and climbing the 7,000 steps takes its toll.
I could do it for you.
Really? Well, that would be kind of you. Here, take this bag of supplies. At the top of the steps, you'll see the offering chest. Just leave the bag inside, and you're done.
Aren't the Greybeards expecting some supplies? Hello, my friend.
You seem quite happy.
My father taught me an important lesson many years ago. He said, Gwilyn, you have the whole world before you. Go out and experience it. Be whatever you want to be. So I took his advice, and here I am. This life might not look like much to you, but I'm content. And isn't that all that matters?
It's a good philosophy.
Honestly, I'm not certain. I've yet to be allowed into the monastery. Perhaps one day.
Okay, I think we can head straight up. I think we're probably going to get a few challenges on the way. Before the birth of men, the dragons ruled all Mundus. Their word was the voice, and they spoke only for true needs. For the voice could blot out the sky and flood the land. Let's make sure we've got a few bits set so we can flame, we can fear, and then we'll conjure. Probably need to work on our fear spells a little bit as well. Actually, what we need to do is ball trap this. Brilliant. We'll get to work on our enchanting soon and just upgrade our gear significantly. Looking like another beautiful day in Skyrim. Another pilgrim, it seems. Barknar.
Keep an eye out for wolves if you're headed up the path to High Hrothgar.
What are you doing?
I like to spend time up here. Walk the steps.
Why are his arrows on
meditate
fire?
the emblems. Doesn't hurt when I bag some game along the way.
Do you visit the Greybeards?
They're not the sort to take visitors. But I never go that high up the path anyway. Some folk who make the trip leave them food or other essentials, but not to make conversation. All right.
We have a bit more lore, we do. Men were born and spread over the face of Mundus. The dragons presided over the crawling masses. Men were weak then and had no voice. See if we can level up our fear spells a little bit while we're climbing. More wolves. But we may need to get a bit of help when we do this one. Where is he going? It'll be like Lassen, he's leading us the way. Good. See if we can take this one out. May see more formidable enemies shortly. There we go, brilliant. The fledgling spirits of men were strong in old times, unafraid to war with dragons and their voices, but the dragons only shouted them down and broke their hearts. I think what we might do is actually start working on our shields just a little bit. We have flames, so maybe pop that on number 7. Just when the juice gets a bit low. What I'll do is brilliant.
keep an eye out for wolves if you're headed up the path to Hrothgar.
Who are you?
Just a pilgrim. I'd prefer to leave it at that, if you don't mind.
What are you doing?
Walking the steps, meditating on the emblems. I make this trip every few years.
Did you hear the Greybeards call Dovahkiin?
I was just outside Iverstead when it happened. It's an exciting moment. Nothing like this has happened in centuries.
Interesting.
I
Kin called on Parthenax, who pitied man. Together they taught men to use the voice. Then dragon war raged. Dragon against tongue. Okay, so it looks like we've got a more formidable enemy. See if we can get a bit of damage on him while he's chasing that goat. Probably should have overcharged that conjuration spell. Well, he's slow, which is good for us. He's going to hit really hard. Wow, that's quite a hit he's got. Have to start making a few potions after this. Got anything to top up our magicka with? Well, he's having a bit of a rest. Ah, shame we can't soul trap, but... Wow, so that is scaled quite high. Man prevailed, shouting Alduin out of the world, proving for all that their voice was too strong, although their sacrifices were manifold. Interesting. So what's up here? Or is this just a shortcut? I believe it is. Let's just check our spells. I think we need to reslot our spells for better usage. Got Oak Flesh on 4. Have to start using that just a little bit more. With roaring tongues the sky children conquer, founding the first empire with sword and voice, whilst the dragons withdrew from this world. Beautifully barren kind of place here. The tongues at Red Mountain went away humbled. Jurgen Windcaller began his 7-year meditation to understand how strong voices could fail. Jurgen Windcaller chose silence and returned. The 17 disputants could not shout him down. Jurgen the Calm built his home on the throat of the world. Interesting. Here we are. For years all silent, the greybeard spoke one name, Tiber Septim. Stripling then was summoned to Hrothgar. They blessed and named him Dovahkiin. Beautiful. Probably best not to pilfer from here when I've just arrived.
So, a Dragonborn appears at this moment in the turning of the age.
I'm answering your summons.
We will see if you truly have the gift. Show us, Dragonborn. Let us taste of your voice. Do not be afraid.
Well, I could do if I remembered it. I'll just have to check the setting for my shout.
Shout will not harm.
It's a bit better.
It is you. Welcome to High Hrothgar. I am Master Arngir. I speak for the Greybeards. Now, tell me, Dragonborn, why have you come here?
I want to find out what it means to be Dragonborn.
We are here to guide you in that pursuit, just as the Greybeards have sought to guide those of the dragon blood that came before you.
You mean I'm not the only Dragonborn?
You are not the first. There have been many of the dragon blood since Akatosh first bestowed that gift upon mortal kind. Whether you are the only Dragonborn of this age, that is not ours to know. You are the only one that has been revealed thus far. That is all I can say.
I'm ready to learn.
You have shown that you are Dragonborn. You have the inborn gift. But do you have the discipline and temperament to follow the path laid out for you? That remains to be seen. Without training, you have already taken the first steps towards projecting your voice into a thum, a shout. Now let us see if you are willing and able to learn. When you shout, you speak in the language of dragons. Thus, your dragon blood gives you an inborn ability to learn words of power. All shouts are made up of 3 words of power. As you master each word, your shout will become progressively stronger. Master Einarth will now teach you Ro, the second word in Unrelenting Force. Ro means balance in the dragon tongue. Combine it with Fus, force, to focus your thumb more sharply. Ro. Master Einarth is waiting. You truly do have the gift. But learning a word of power is only the first step. You must have constant practice in order to use it in a shout. Well, that is how the rest of us learn shouts. As Dragonborn, you can absorb a slain dragon's life force and knowledge directly. As part of your initiation, Master Einarth will allow you to tap into his understanding of Ro.
Very cool.
Now, let us see how quickly you can master your new thum. Use your unrelenting force shout to strike the targets as they appear. Go! Well done. Again. You learn quickly. Once more. Impressive. Your thumb is precise. You show great promise, Dragonborn. We will perform your next trial in the courtyard. Follow Master Bori.
Be interesting to see if there's any books and extra lore here. I'm not too sure if there is. I think it's maybe a hub to get the main quest line started, but we'll have a quick look.
You will now see how you learn a completely new shout. Master Bori will teach you the first word of a new shout. Attend to him. Master Bori will teach you Wold, which means whirlwind. You must hear the word within yourself before you can project it into a thum. Approach Master Bori.
So I'm assuming I can just go to that now.
Will gift you his knowledge of Wold.
Storm rushes forward, carrying you in its wake with the speed of a tempest.
You will see how quickly you can master a new shout. Master Hrothgar will demonstrate whirlwind sprint. Then it will be your turn.
Oh, better stand back.
Master Bori. Now, your turn. Stand next to me. Master Bori will open the gate. Use your whirlwind sprint to pass through before it closes. Stand next to me and prepare your whirlwind sprint. Master Bori will give the signal.
Brilliant. That could be quite a nice one for dodging attacks. I guess we go around.
Your quick mastery of a new tune is astonishing. I'd heard the stories of the abilities of Dragonborn, but to see it for myself.
Don't know how to do it. It just happens.
You were given this gift by the gods for a reason. It is up to you to determine how best to use it. You are now ready for your last trial. Retrieve the horn of Jürgen Windcaller, our founder, from his tomb in the ancient fane of Ostengraf. Remain true to the way of the voice. You will return.
Brilliant. There are only 4 of you?
5. Our leader, Parthenax, lives alone on the peak of the throat of the world. When your voice can open the path, you will know you are ready to speak to him.
Who was Jürgen Windcaller?
He was a great war leader of the ancient Nords, the master of the voice, or tongue. After the disaster at Red Mountain, where the Nord army was annihilated, he spent many years pondering the meaning of that terrible defeat. He finally came to realize that the gods had punished the Nords for their arrogant and blasphemous misuse of the voice. He was the first to understand that the voice should be used solely for the glory and worship of the gods, not the glory of men. Jürgen Windcaller's mastery of the voice eventually overcame all opposition, and the way of the voice was born.
Why the shouts in the dragon language?
Dragons have always been able to shout. Language is intrinsic to their very being. There is no difference in the dragon tongue between debating and fighting. Shouting comes as naturally to a dragon as breathing or speaking. In mythic times, when mortal kind was in great need, the goddess Kinnereth granted us the ability to speak as dragons do. For most people, long years of training are required to learn even the simplest shout. But for you, the dragon speech is in your blood, and you learn it almost without effort.
Okay, so we'll just find out why the dragon's returning. Does it have something to do with me?
No doubt, the appearance of a dragonborn at this time is not an accident. Your destiny is surely bound up with the return of the dragons. You should focus on honing your voice, and soon your path will be made clear.
Thank you, Master. I will continue my training.
Good. Then you will be ready for whatever lies ahead.
Brilliant. Okay, so I think we can check our quests.
Voice within.
Perfect. So let's see what we've got in terms of quests now. Horn of Jürgen Windcaller. After demonstrating my ability to learn the words of power and to shout, the Greybeard Arngeir has sent me on a final trial, retrieving the horn of Jürgen Windcaller from his tomb in Ostengraf, a burial mound in the marshes of Hjalmarsh. So let's just see where that actually is. Solitude, Dawnstar. So we've uncovered a few bits around here. We could actually start moving there to just move this initial beginner starter quest even along. Let's just see what we've got along the way. We need to hand the supplies in as well, actually. That would be good. Okay, so as well as here, locate the Seducer's band camp. Locate the Saints band camp. Investigate the ritual site. We could actually do that from Helgen. But going forward, Lost Knife Hideout, eliminate the bandit leaders. So we could actually go straight there, grab that, and then move northwards up to here to retrieve the horn. That's probably going to be a really good idea. So let's see if we can hand in these supplies first off. Assuming they're not around here. This will lead up to, yeah, Parthenax, so we can't go there. So let's see if it's outside we can go. So we just do leave them in there. Let's see. Perfect. Return to Klimek. Let's just return to him quickly and see what he's got to say for himself.
You there. You're the one they call Dragonborn.
Oh. Yes, I am Dragonborn.
Your lies fall on deaf ears, deceiver. The true Dragonborn.
Why are the
comes.
British always the bad
You
guys?
are but his shadow. When Lord Mirak appears, all shall bear witness. None shall stand to oppose him.
Okay. Let's get Skeletal and a Fear going.
Time to die.
Ooh, they hit hard. Wow, let's see what we've got for potions. Where the heck are they? Ooh, hit the wrong person. Wow, they hit hard. So we've got arrows, orcish dagger, wheat, cultist robes. Quite a cool mask, actually. The robes will keep, definitely.
We'll show those faithless dogs who this land belongs to.
I wonder if they have an actual any information on them. Dagger, flowers, cultist orders, brilliant. Potion of destruction, robes, great. So let's see what our apparel is like. So what do our robes do? 50% magicka. I hate to use their robes, but it's just better magicka regen, and we do badly need it. Cultist orders. Travel to Solstein. Board the vessel Northern Maiden docked at Raven Rock. Take it to Windhelm, then begin your search. Kill the false dragonborn known as Valendor before he reaches Solstein. Return with word of your success, and Mirak shall be most pleased. Okay. Guess we're going to have to go and kill this fellow as well. Okay, so shall we hand a quest in here? Here he is. This is a bit of a different look.
Good to see you again. How'd that delivery go?
I delivered the supplies to High Hrothgar.
Quite a climb, wasn't it? Anyway, much appreciated. Here, take this for your troubles.
500 gold, very good. Okay, done and done.
Again for the legwork.
I am thinking we'll probably have to turn the difficulty down a pinch. Run expert at the moment, and it's just getting a bit too much health on them, bit too much damage from them, until we can at least enchant our gear. But until we do that, let's just try another dungeon. So we've got the ritual site, we've got pawn. Won't do that just yet. Blood in the water. Riftwatch Tower. Get a few of these done, get some much needed experience. You can head over here. Very peaceful around here. Almost too peaceful. So, okay, we can summon and we can fear. You got taking out these bandits. Perfect. Right, where's that other one? Oh, this is quite an expansive camp. Brilliant. Oh, much needed potions. Let's see if we can't get them fighting each other just a little bit. Oh. It's not good. Back out of the fight a tiny bit. Perfect. Let's get into the thick of that fight. Okay, I think we leveled up, so we'll see if we can get a bit more strength. We're quite weak still, so we'll go for health. Going for a kind of 80-20 split between health and magicka. So what have we got that's going to really help us out as we're fighting? I do think we need to kind of invest a bit more in things like fear. All the melee stuff we're not really going to touch. Alchemy we're going to need, but not just yet. Going to need this for fear. This spell works on high level opponents, cumulative with Kindred Mage and Animage. Well, we're not too bad with that at the moment. I think possibly we'll look at see if we've got anything good at Conjuration. Nope, not just yet. Okay, so nothing just yet for that. Shock, Frost. Fire spells do 25% more damage. I think we're definitely going to have to use that. Words and Philosophy. Lady Bennock's Words and Philosophy. Lady Elena Bennock, former master of the Varlinwood Fighters Guild and head of the Emperor's personal guard in the Imperial City, has been leading a campaign to reacquaint the soldiers of Tamriel with the sword. I met with her on 3 different occasions for the purposes of this book. The first time was at her suite in the palace, on the balcony overlooking the gardens below. I was early for the interview, which had taken me nearly 6 months to arrange, but she gently chided me for not being even earlier. I've had time to put up my defensive now, she said, her bright green eyes smiling. Lady Bennock is a Bosmer, a wood elf, and like her ancestors, took to the bow in her early years. She excelled at the sport, and by the age of 14, she had joined the hunting party of her tribe as a jackspur, a long-distance shooter, during the Black Year of 396, when the Parik tribe began their rampage through southeastern Varlinwood. With the aid of powers from the Somerset Isle, Lady Bennock fought the futile battle to keep her tribe's land. I killed someone for the first time when I was 16, she says now. I don't remember it very well. He or she was just a blur on the horizon where I aimed my bow. It meant no more to me than shooting animals. I probably killed 100 people like that during that summer and fall. I didn't really feel like a killer until that wintertide, when I learned what it was like to look into a man's eyes as you spilled his blood. It was a scout from the Pyric tribe who surprised me while I was on camp watch. We surprised each other, I suppose. I had my bow at my side and I just panicked, trying to string an arrow when he was half a yard away from me. It was the only thing I knew to do. Of course, he struck first with his blade and I just fell back in shock. You always remember the mistakes of your first victim. His mistake was assuming because he had drawn blood and I had fallen that I was dead. I rushed at him the moment he turned from me toward the sleeping camp of my tribesmen. He was caught off guard and I wrested his blade away from him. I don't know how many times I stabbed at him, but by the time I stopped, when the next watch came to relieve me, my arms were black and blue with strain. There was not a solid piece of him left. I had literally cut him into pieces. You see, I had no concept of how to fight or how much it took to kill a man. Lady Monarch, aware of this deficiency in her education, began teaching herself swordsmanship at once. You can't learn how to use a sword in Valenwood, she says, which isn't to say Bosma can't use blades, but we're largely self-taught. As much as it hurt when my tribe found itself homeless, pushed to the north, it did have one good aspect. It afforded me the opportunity to meet Red Guards, studying all manner of weapon wielding under the tutelage of Warday Akor. Lady Monarch excelled. She became a freelance adventurer, travelling through the wilds of southern Hammerfell and northern Valenwood, protecting caravans and visiting dignitaries from the various dangers indigenous to the population. Unfortunately, before we were able to pursue her story of her early years any further, Lady Monarch was called away on urgent summons from the Emperor. Such is often the case with the Imperial Guard, and in these troubled times, perhaps more so than in the past, when I tried to contact her for another talk, her servants informed me that their mistress was in Skyrim. Another month passed, and when I visited her suite, I was told she was in High Rock. To her credit, Lady Monarch actually sought me out for our second interview on sun's dusk of that year. I was in a tavern in the city called the Blood and Rooster, when I felt her hand on my shoulder. She sat down at the rude table and continued her tale as if it had never been interrupted. She returned to the theme of her days as an adventurer, and told me about the first time she ever felt confident with a sword. I owned at that time an enchanted daikatana, quite a good one, of Daedric metal. It wasn't an original Akavari, not even of design. I didn't have that kind of money, but it served my primary purpose of delivering as much damage with as little effort on my part as possible. Akor had taught me how to fence, but when faced with a life or death situation, I always fell back on the old overhand wallop. A pack of orcs had stolen some gold from a local chieftain of Meditia, and I went looking for them in one of the ubiquitous dungeons that dot the countryside in that region. There were the usual rats and giant spiders, and I was enough of a veteran by then to dispatch them with relative ease. The problem came when I found myself in a pitch-black room, and all around me I heard the grunts of orcs nearing in. I waved my sword around, connecting with nothing, hearing their footsteps coming nearer. Somehow I managed to hold back my fear and to remember the simple exercises Master Akor had taught me. I listened, stepped, sideways, swung, twisted, stepped forward, swung a circle, turned around, sidestepped, swung. My instincts were right. The orcs had gathered in a circle around me, and when I found a light, I saw that they were all dead. That's when I focused on my study of swordplay. I'm stupid enough to require a near-death experience to see the practical purposes, you see. Lady Monarch spent the remainder of the interview responding in her typically blunt way to the veracity of various myths that surrounded her and her career. It was true that she became the master of the Valenwood Fighters Guild after winning a duel with the former master, who was a stooge of the Imperial battle mage, the traitor Jagar Tharn. It was not true that she was the one responsible for the Valenwood Guild's disintegration 2 years later. Actually, the membership in the Valenwood chapter was healthy, but in Tamriel overall, the mood was not conducive to the continued existence of a non-partisan organisation of freelance warriors. It was true that she first came to the Emperor's attention when she defended Queen Akarithi of Sentinel from a Breton assassin. It was not true that the assassin was hired by someone in the High Court of Daggerfall. At least, she says wryly, that has never been a problem. It was also true that she married her former servant Urken after he had begun after he had been in her service for 11 years. No one knows how to keep my weaponry honed like he does, she says. It's a practical business. I either had to give him a raise or marry him. The only story I asked her that she would neither admit nor refute was the one about Calaxes, the Emperor's bastard. When I brought up the name, she shrugged, professing no knowledge of the affair. I pressed on with the details of the story. Calaxes, though not in line for succession, had been given the archbishopric of the One, a powerful position in the imperial city and indeed over all Tamriel, where that religion is honoured. Whispering began immediately that Calaxes believed that the gods were angered with the secular governments of Tamriel and the Emperor specifically. It was even said that Calaxes advocated full-scale rebellion to establish a theocracy over the empire. It is certainly true, I pressed on, that the Emperor's relationship with Calaxes had become very stormy, and that legislation had been passed to limit the church's authority. That is, up until the moment when Calaxes disappeared, suddenly without notice, to his closest of friends. Many said that Lady Bennock and the Imperial Guard assassinated the Archbishop Calaxes in the sacristy of his church. The date usually given was the 29th of Sun's Dusk, 3rd Era 498. Of course, responds Lady Bennock with one of her mysterious grins. I don't need to tell you that the Imperial Guard's position is as protectors of the throne, not assassins. But surely no one is more trusted than the Guard for such a sensitive operation, I say carefully. Lady Bennock acknowledges that but merely says that such details of her duties must remain secret as a matter of imperial security. Unfortunately for Ladyship, had to leave early the next morning as the Emperor had business down south. Of course, I couldn't be told more specifics. She promised to send me word when she returned so we could continue our interview. As it turned out, I had business of my own in the Somerset Isle, compiling a book on a physic order. It was therefore with surprise that I met her ladyship 3 months later in First Hold. We managed to get away from our respective duties to complete our third and final interview, on a walk along the Deseto, the great river that passes through the royal parks on the city. Steering away from questions of her recent duties and assignments, which I guessed rightly she was loath to answer, I returned to the subject of sword fighting. Franda hunting, she says, lists 38 grip 750 offensive and 1800 defensive weapons, and nearly 9,000 moves essentially to sword mastery. The average hack and slasher knows one grip, which he uses primarily to keep from dropping his blade. He knows one offensive position, facing his target, and one defensive position, fleeing. On the multitudinous rhythms and inflections of combat, he knows less than one. The ways of the warrior were never meant to be the easiest path. The archetype of the idiot fighter is as solidly ingrained as that of the brilliant wizard and the shrewd thief. But it was not always so. The figure of the philosopher swordsman, the blade-wielding artist are creatures of the past, together with the sword-slinger of the Red Guards, who was said to be able to create and wield a blade with but the power of his mind. The figure of the intelligent blade wielder looks bleak in comparison to the stories of the past. Not wanting to end our interview on a sour note, I pressed Lady Alina Bennock for advice for young blade swingers just beginning their careers. When confronted with a wizard, she says, throwing petals of canthleaf into the Deseto, close the distance and hit him hard. Wow. That was a heck of a story. Really good though, really interesting. I think, as time is ticking on, we might rest up here and carry on with this dungeon next time. We've got quite a bit done. We've progressed the Greybeards line further. We've just got started in a bandits holdout, and we've had a really good bit of lore going through. So we'll rest here. Our skeletal minion protecting us a bit more, and we'll jump into it next time. So thank you for watching me as always, and I'll see you then.